I really wanted to share something that has helped increase my own speed and efficiency as a wedding editor, and I wish that more wedding photographers knew about this. I will also be doing another video on Imagen AI or AI editing, and so this is not that tool. If you are scared of AI or haven't really given it a thought, stay tuned. I will be doing a different video on that because that has also dramatically increased my editing speed. But for today, I'm talking about one specific tool that should be in every wedding photographer's kit. And the tool that I'm talking about is called the Contour Shuttle Pro. So essentially, it's like a mini keyboard. And what you can do if you get one of these guys is you're able to program and tell what you want each specific button to do for you within Lightroom. So instead of having to press the keyboard buttons or even have to hover over the mouse for every single type of editing tool that you want to adjust, what you can do is like there's a certain one for increasing or decreasing the white balance of an image. You can press a button and it pops up the crop tool. You can adjust the cropping like a 1 degree left or 1 degree right really easily. And there's also this really handy dial. So if you like press down to the contrast button and then just spin the dial to increase or decrease the contrast, which is so freaking cool. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the Shuttle Pro and why I really like it. That's a very quick introduction to what the Shuttle Pro tool does for you. Before we dive into the rest of the video, I actually have a free gift for you guys. So if you check the description down below, you'll find my guide to increasing your editing efficiency. It's a really quick cheat sheet and a video that goes along with it to help you improve your editing speed for this upcoming year. And also, if you don't want to do all of the editing yourself, if you have a really high number of weddings or a high volume of portraits and you're looking to outsource your editing, I do have a few one-on-one editing spots, so be sure to reach out to me via the website, which is also linked down below in the description. But let's carry on with the video. Okay, so here are a couple of reasons why I think that the Contour Shuttle should be in your toolkit. Number one, this actually saves you so much hand and wrist pain. You already know that if you're shooting a lot, your camera is really heavy and that definitely takes a strain on your wrist muscles. And so making sure that you have a really ergonomic setup for when you're actually spending hours behind the screen editing is super important. So one of the reasons why it really does is because it's ergonomically designed. I personally will use this on the left side of my keyboard and then I will have my trackpad on the right hand side. And that way both of your hands will be set in an ergonomic position and it will be less back and forth of moving your hand between your keyboard and your mouse, which I know to seem like it takes a lot of time, but once you actually start editing with this thing, you'll see how much faster you are when you can kind of control both without having to move your hand back and forth, which is actually super, super awesome. I also love that this thing is completely customizable. So I can share my map of what I use each of these buttons for. But the really cool thing is you can actually program every single one of these different buttons for a different thing in Lightroom. And that's so, so helpful. So if your brain really wants this center button to be go back to the library grid view, like you can set it to be that. Or if you want this button to be, say, the contrast button, you can set it to be contrast. You can set this up completely exactly how you want to, which I know can be a little intimidating, especially when you're first starting. So I'm going to include my own template for what each one of these buttons does individually. So you can just take my like a little cheat sheet and set this up, play around with it, and then customize and tweak it so that it fits the way that your own personal brain works. My favorite thing though about the Shuttle Pro is exactly how much time that it saves you. It is insane. I've always been a really efficient editor as a wedding photographer first, and now even as an editor, I am still very fast. And so I was like, I don't know if this is really going to speed up my workflow, but it absolutely does. And so something that I did was I timed how long it would take me to do a wedding of around 800 images before I started using this guy. And then I matched that along with how long it takes me to edit a wedding, same amount of images with using this. And I shave off a fourth of my time, which is insane because I'm not really using a different editing technique or anything. I'm using the same process that I always do when I'm editing, but it is so much faster with using this. And I love that you can toggle back and forth between different views really easily. Obviously, you can increase and decrease the settings really easily with the wheel. But what I really like is you can go back to the grid mode or even reference mode. If you use reference mode to edit easily, you can hit R to get into the crop tool. And I'm going to show you guys a demo behind the screen of what this looks like. So stay tuned. I'm going to drop that next. Let me first show you what each one of my buttons is mapped to. So if I go up here and I click this guy and I hit shuttle settings, it's going to show you exactly what each one of my keys is mapped to. That's going to tell Lightroom exactly what each one of these buttons is going to do within Lightroom. So you can actually map this for other programs. I only have it mapped for Lightroom. As you can see here, this first guy for me is going to be rotating an image over a few degrees. On the other side, it's the opposite way. And then this is going to be toggling between the editing settings, which I will show you. If I click on this guy, it's going to take me to the library mode. If I click this guy, it's going to go to develop or edit mode. If I hit the center button, it's going to pull up my current image and my reference photo. This guy is R or crop for me. And then this last button right here is my undo. And then this down here is going to copy any of my settings. And then same on the other side, I have pasting the settings. And then this is actually going to sync all of the settings across the photos. And then this is going to match the total exposures. And then my buttons on either side is just moving left or right. So moving to the next photo or the previous photo. And then using the dial is just increasing or decreasing any specific settings. So what that looks like actually in Lightroom is, so if I click on this, if I hit this button, it's going to go to edit. And then what's really cool is if I want to rotate this one way or the other, you can just click these two guys. This, like I mentioned, is toggling all of my editing settings. So if I want to make this image colder, a little cooler, I can go and just use the wheel to do that. So it goes in increments of 50, which is really nice. And then if I want to increase the exposure, I just toggled my editing setting here, doing that. If I want to see this photo against the reference photo, I can just click the center button. If I want to crop the photo, then I pull up this guy and can crop this guy in. I do have to use my mouse to be able to do that. And then if I want to go back to the library mode, that's if I want to go to edit mode. And then say I want to copy the settings on this. So I'm just going to hit copy, hit enter, and I can go to my next photo and then hit paste. And then you can see it just applied those settings. And then same thing with if I have multiple images selected. So down here, you can see I just selected a bunch of images. And what I can do is I can click this down here to sync all of the settings. And this, it's going to actually match all of the exposures. So let me do that again, just so that it's a little bit easier for you to see. Say I want to sync all of these images together. So we just press this guy down here. Oh, sorry, you have to do that in edit mode. So sync, so you can see it copied all of those. And then if I hit this, it's going to map all the exposures as well. So that is a very quick and dirty guide of how I actually use this guy. Again, I'm going to pull this open and let you guys just stare at this for a second. I'm going to take a screenshot so that I can share my settings with you guys as well. And that is really how I am using this. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Again, I do have the V2 version, so that just means I have some additional buttons. There is a slightly cheaper version that's, I believe, the V1, which has kind of just a subset of these. So if you don't need all of the buttons, but some of them would be helpful, that is a little bit cheaper and definitely an option. And yeah, I hope that you guys found this helpful. Let me know if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want any other videos that have to do with editing, be sure to drop any of your video ideas that you have down in the description below. Again, be sure to check out the freebie that I have for you guys. That's like my tried and true tips for cutting down my editing time in half. And so if you're looking to increase your speed and your efficiency as an editor, that is a must-have go-to guide. I'm sure that there's going to be at least one tip in there that's going to blow your mind, because these are things that I learned over the years, and some of them are actually really relevant to photographers that have been in the game and have been editing for a while now. I showed it to my friend Katie, and she had a takeaway that she hadn't ever heard of, and she's been photographing for almost a decade actually as well. So I know that that guide is going to be super helpful, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for joining in and tuning along.